Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Douglas James on the line, and he's known as the high-ticket client guy. Douglas, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
So first off, with a name like the high-ticket client guy, you have my entire audience attention right now, because who doesn't want to close high tickets? So I want to get into that. But before we do, let's get into your background a little. So tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got into business.
Yeah, for sure. It's a crazy story, actually. This whole thing happened by accident, really. I mean, I spent 10 years in the Navy, so I was a hospital corpsman, kind of bouncing around all over the globe. I went on a deployment to the Pacific, and it was a humanitarian mission. We got to do awesome things like, go to Papua New Guinea, go to the Philippines, go to islands like Fiji. And in those different places, we built schools and built hospitals, and I actually specialized in laboratory science, so I got to do those things. And it was an amazing experience, and the lives that we've touched was, I just remember the last thing we did was we were leaving the Philippines, and these kids, we were in a very, I guess, a part of the island that was more poor in Rojas City, and they didn't have books and crayons and just kind of like the common things that our kids have in our schools today. And I just remember these kids coming up to me, just thanking me, when we were unloading the truck, and it was just like, wow, what an impact we're having here. And it was the most fulfilling thing that I ever had, giving back to young kids during that time. So when I got back from that deployment, I decided, I want to find something where I'm working for myself, so I'm able to do more, make more money, and have more impact, right? Because when you have more money, you're able to give more, not just with your time, but you can actually invest and make things move a lot faster. So I had that realization. So I started searching online on, what kind of business can I get into. I was aware of people like, Tony Robbins and different coaches like that were speaking wisdom. I didn't know what it all meant then until I found marketing, internet marketing specifically, and I started paying attention to Google, and I noticed, if I ever wanted anything, I would search at Google, and I was like, how do these people get their websites, ranked number one when I type in, restaurant near me? Why is Chipotle like the number one restaurant every single time, or McDonald's, right, or something like that? So I started to look into what that process was, and it was called search engine optimization, or SEO. So I started consuming hours of content online. How do I do this? Maybe if I can learn how to do this for businesses, they'll pay me. And that's exactly what I did. So I started learning SEO, and I landed a handful of clients that was paying me around $20,000 after the first 60 days of doing it. And that's how I started my internet business. And from there, it's morphed into paid advertising, where I'm actually buying media, showing ads in front of users, and having them, click and submitting their information, then forwarding that information to the business I'm working with. And that was a lot more sustainable because, SEO was a long-term play. It could take up to 6 to 12 months, sometimes faster, but the paid ads really worked. And, from there, I got into coaching, and now I'm coaching coaches on how to do that as well, how to build systems where you book appointments on your calendar and close over the phone high ticket. So it's just been an awesome ride, and it's captured the attention of a lot of the friends I grew up with, a lot of the military service members and buddies that I had through the years. They see me obviously living a lot more comfortable lifestyle, than them, and I've been able to actually help at this point, we've helped thousands of people, start their own business. It's the same concepts that I did growing up in the military before I got out. But what I'm really proud of is I'm creating something that's helped military and veterans actually transition from civilian to military. And we've enrolled over 100 of those folks as well. And the results have been incredible, So I kind of like the niche that I found that I'm extremely passionate about is the education space, and that's where we are today.
Man, that's amazing. Love the story. Let's get a little bit further into why you're called the high ticket client guy. So give us a little bit more, please.
Yeah, for sure. So I was kind of alluded to it a little bit in my story. I got into this coaching space on where I'm at now, because I had so many military friends and people back home. They wanted to learn this stuff. So instead of staying up in my bed for an hour to an hour and a half every morning and answering 50 plus direct messages on what I'm doing, I decided to make a coaching program where I'm shooting a bunch of videos. I'm jumping on a group coaching call once a week and giving value. And I found that to be a very successful business model, and it was able to impact many people at the same time. So I kept doing that. Now it's grown into thousands of students, and it's actually captured the attention of other people that are in the coaching space or sell online courses or do consulting. They're like, Doug, how do you get all these calls on your calendar? I have this joke. I made a Facebook post the other day or last week or so, and I said, instead of flashing cars and money and girls like some of these gurus do, I'm just going to flash my Google Calendar, because you can't fake 150 plus appointments a day that you spent somewhere between 50 to 80 bucks a piece for, right, on ads. So I started doing that, and it's just kind of like a joke, and it's true though. It captured the attention of other coaches, and I found myself working with some pretty high level folks that I've actually been able to come into their business and build these systems out and produce calls on their calendars for their business, and it's been incredible. And teaching the actual conversation that you're supposed to have over the phone has been, I've really come into my own element. There's a lot of people that are incredible sales trainers, like Grant Cardone or the Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. I'm sure you guys know who that is. He was actually one of my clients that built out his system as well. And these are all, phenomenal tactics and sales. My approach is really different. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I care about every single person that takes the time to come to a phone call like this, because it's not normal, to reach out and see something online and be asking. People have to have that type of courage where you're that you're not where you want to be, and you have the courage to realize that and actually watch some training and schedule a call for something like this is truly a phenomenon. And I don't ever take those things lightly. So when someone comes to a call with me or my team, we really want to figure out what is going on with them. How can we help them? Are they the right fit? What's going to happen or solve these different problems in areas in their life or in their business. And we just make sure they have an educated, informed decision before pulling out their credit card, And we've been able to do this now, book calls and close over the phone for different industries like the medical professionals, attorneys, real estate, obviously coaching and consulting and courses like I mentioned already. And it's been an incredible ride. And the more I do this, the more I realize, and I look back, I'm like, man, and I came from there. It's crazy. I'm just like this kid from a small town, Louisiana called Covington. And I never thought that I'd be here, traveling the world, joining the Navy, and then starting a successful business. So, and then obviously getting on awesome talks like with you, Adam. So I'm very excited to be here, man.
Man, that's awesome. What an amazing story. I love it. So what kind of things can the people that come to you for coaching, what kind of things can they expect to get out of some sessions? Just because a lot of different coaches out there, pretty competitive space, but I know you're doing some pretty unique things and you're getting some pretty unique results. Otherwise you wouldn't have had the growth you're having, and you wouldn't have also the the rise you've had in terms of your students and help so many people. So what kind of things can they expect out of working with you and your team?
Yeah, definitely. The first thing that we do is when we get a prospect that comes to us and like, Doug, there's a couple things to qualify, right? Like, I just don't work with anyone. It has to be a phone-driven business, so you have to be able to have conversations over the phone with people in order to do business. That's number one, because there's a lot of people that sell courses online through automated webinars for like $1,000. We know how to do that stuff, but it's not like a focus, right? Our focus is the phone. How do we generate appointments and then scale from there? So we figure out, are you closing over the phone for sure? Do you have any type of lead magnet in place whether that be like some type of ebook offer or an evergreen webinar. Our approach that we found that works extremely well is an evergreen webinar where somebody comes to a live, it could be just a live presentation, or it could be like an encore training that's always going. That we found that coupled with YouTube advertising has worked the best. So are you generating calls over the phone? Do you have any type of marketing assets in place, like a lead magnet? And then who's doing the calls? Are you doing the calls, or do you have a team doing the calls? Okay, we can work with both. Obviously, if you have a team, we could scale a lot faster, but for the solopreneurs that are doing their own calls, we do have a process in place where we recruit and train reps to manage more calls, so that you could be doing, 100 plus calls a day if that's what you wish, which is actually necessary if you're trying to do, multiple 7 figures a month. That's a lot of calls, which means a lot of people, and a rep can only take so many calls, per day. So it's really just a big discovery. Where are you at in your business? What are you trying to achieve? Are you a right fit for us? And if it makes sense, we'll deploy systems and processes that's able to generate the phone appointment for your niche. We'll the system to nurture that lead that comes through and schedules a call to make sure they come to the call. And then once they're on the call, we make sure that we have a rep that's skilled and that has not so much of a script, but has a process to go through to qualify and make sure that the client's in a position to buy and in a position to, invest into whatever the product or services that you're selling. So pretty much the entire thing, all the way from running the first ad on social media. We really love YouTube, versus Facebook's great. We run stuff on Facebook. With YouTube's number one in my opinion. Or Google if you're, service-based business, or local brick and mortar. Google is going to be where you want to be. But from running the ad to building a system to generate the appointment to managing that lead on the back end and having them ultimately buy, that's what they can expect from us whenever we're working with clients.
That's awesome. So, Douglas, if somebody does want more info, what's the best way for them to follow up?
Yeah, for sure. My main website is thedouglasjames.com. That's THE, douglasjames.com. That's my main site. You can go there and read about my business and everything that we've accomplished, and you could also schedule calls from there. But if you want more of a direct link on the programs that I offer, you just go to douglasjamesmarketing.com, and you'll be presented with three things there. It's do you want to start your own business? Do you want calls on your calendar for your current business? Or do you want to hire Douglas James or in his team to do everything for you? So you just click one of those 3 links. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, of course, you just do @the_Douglas James, and you'll find me. Or I think I'm probably the number one Douglas James on Instagram. So if you just type in Douglas James, you should be able to find me.
Perfect. Well, hey, Douglas, awesome having you on the show today, and thank you for telling us more about your background and all the great work you're doing to help your entrepreneurs succeed. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you had a lot of fun listening, because we had fun making this for you. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, be sure to give us a subscribe there, but also leave some comments on the video. Let's move the conversation on over into the YouTube community. Love to interact with you there. And Douglas, thanks again for coming on the show.